this episode, what I'm going to do is work on the blog section of the site. So I'm going to create a blog post and a blog like main page which houses all the other blog posts. So I'm going to start work on that on this episode and just show you how you can do that, and if we get time we'll be able to get it to pull through onto the home page as well. So let's get cracking. So if I go on to the build, I've already got a blog template, and that blog template has just got hard coded into it the list of blog posts, and those blog posts have got a read more link. So if we look at the static version of the site from the free template that I got, we can see it's got an image, a title, an introduction, and then a read more link. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to create the individual blog post template. So I'm going to go into Umbraco and do that first. So I go into settings when it lets me, just catch up. Right. So in my document types, I've got a blog. That's basically my blog section. But what I do want is a blog article or a blog post. So I'm going to create some controls that will appear on that post. So if I do core types, and I'm going to do it as article because it might be that you want a news article or anything like that in the future. So I'm just going to do some controls that are related to all types of articles really to start with. So I'm just going to call this article controls. And I'm going to add a new tab, and I'm going to put this in the content tab. So let's add a new property. So first of all, what do I want it to be? So this is going to be, so the name will be the title. So I've already got title controls. Let me just have a look at the title controls that I already have. See if they'd be relevant. It seems like they might be actually. Discard changes from that. So I've got a title and then a subtitle. No, maybe not. No, I'm just going to do this specific to articles. So I'm going to do article controls. Okay, add a new tab, content. So what do I want? Well, let's have a look at this. So for a start, I'm going to need a title, a page title. Now I can pull that through from the name, but I also might want to override that title. So I usually will do a page title. So I'm just going to call this article title because I've already got a page title in one of the other property names. So I'm just going to say article title. So enter the title here. Enter the title of the article here if you do not, oh no, or it will use, that's it, the page name if left blank. Okay, that's that one. And the editor I'm going to reuse the text string. Submit that and save. Then I'm going to do the intro text, article intro. So just enter some text as the introduction to the article. So that's going to cater for this part here. So the editor I'm going to use there is text area. I'm going to reuse the text area. Submit that. And what else was there? I want an image. Yeah, I think I do, yeah. So article image, choose the image for this article, and I'm going to reuse the media picker and then submit that. Now with that one, I am going to make the article image mandatory. The title isn't mandatory. The introduction I probably will make mandatory actually. So close that. Just click on the cog. Field is mandatory. Submit and then save. So I've got 3 properties there. They will populate the preview part of this. Also on the page I will want the other properties that you get from content. So let's just make sure I've saved that. So if I go into the content one, that is inheriting from title controls and basic content controls. So let's have a look what's in basic content controls. That's the content grid. So I'm going to go with that as well. So I'm going to use the basic content controls. So now if I create a content, I'm going to create the template first, as I usually do. And am I going to use that? So I could in theory just use the content template because it's going to be similar. But if you remember from the previous videos, we saw that there was a categories part on the about page. This is using the content one, and it had categories here. So I might want to do it a bit differently on the blog post one, because if you look at CodeShare and you go to one of my blog posts, you'll see that I have categories down the right hand side. So instead of just reusing the content template, I might actually use that as well. So I'm going to create another template. I'm going to use this one as a base. So if I do if I click the dots next to web base, and then I create blog post as a template name. And then I'm just going to paste in what's already being used. Now this has got render title controls. Now I don't want to render title controls. I'm going to do it a bit differently. So I'm just going to delete that and save. So this will just pull through the grid HTML. It won't actually do the title for me. I'm going to deal with that a bit differently, I think. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm wondering if I've made the right decision there. Do you know what? I am going to use the title that's already there. So I'm going to go to the article controls. I'm going to delete the title here. Yeah, and then save. So I don't want that article title anymore. I'm just going to reuse the functionality that I had on the content template. So I'm going to copy this render action from the content template and put it back into the blog post template, and then hit save. And then on my blog post, so I'm going to create a document type without a template, call it blog post. I'm going to choose an icon for it. And then I'm going to do compositions. I want to have basic content controls, article controls. Oh, actually, do it again. So I'm going to go with title controls, article controls, basic content controls. So submit that. And then now that I've got that, if I hit save, I should be able to, if I go to home, go to blog, which is the blog section, go to permissions, and then add a child of blog post and save that. So now underneath blog, I should be able to create a blog post. And what have they called the first one on this? New iPhone 6 released, so I'm going to call that the same. So if I do blog post, new iPhone 6 released, so this is the content of it. So it's a bit mixed up. I think there is a way to reorder these on here, because I'm not quite keen on that, on it being in a different order to what I was expecting. Anyway, so I'm not doing the content, I want the intro, so this is my intro here. My article image is going to be this one. So as I was doing before, I'm just going to copy the link address, and then I'm going to have another folder called article images. And then in here I'm going to upload, I'm going to paste that URL. There we go. Click on that, submit. So now I've got the image, and then I can put the title in. Well, I'll leave the title the same. That's only to override the page name. I don't need to put a subtitle in at the moment. So if I just hit save and publish, I've now got my first blog post. So what I want to do is create 6 of them, so that I'm working with the same as what the example is. So I've got beans next. Strange article name, but hey ho. Oh, one thing I didn't do was add an article date. It's good to use an article date rather than the published date and the created date and things like that that are built into Umbraco. It's good to have a specific article date so that you can change that separate to the automated dates. Anyway, so it's the same one of this. Article intro, and it's just another image. I might just make them all use, actually I'll do a different image just to prove that it's not just working, that it is dynamic. Okay, so upload this image. Click on that, submit. Right, so I've got my image, I've got everything that I need, so I can save and publish that. Right, so I've got 2 articles. I just need to do, I'm just going to copy these. So if one thing I'm going to show you as well is with the blog section, you can have it like with this tree structure where it shows the children stepped in slightly, indented. But what I like to do with the blog is to have it as like a list view. So if I go into settings and then the document types, content, and go to the blog section, document type, then I can go to list view and then just tick yes, enable list view. And then it assigns one by default, list view content. So now if I go into the content, I'll refresh the home page, so I'll reload the home node, and then what you'll see is this blog section. It's got this little grid next to it, so that's basically saying that it's going to show it in the table view now, in this list view. So now all my articles will show up like this. So I can now tick these 2 and then do copy, and then tell it to copy them to the same location, same parent location. And then I'm just going to save and publish them with the duplicated names. Obviously they've got brackets 1 after each one, but that's just to show that this is a duplicate of that one. I'm going to do the same again underneath blog. So now I've got a brackets 2 as well, so I've got something to work with. I don't really care about the names at this stage. Obviously if there were real articles, then give it proper names. So I've got 6 articles, and now I can start work on well, first of all, seeing if the article does render correctly with the template. I think what we'll find is that because I didn't set a default template, that if we tried to view them, they would give us an error. So let's have a look. So go to blog, click on one of the articles, click on properties, and then go to the link to document. We've got a page not found, no template exists. So that means that if we go into content, we see template here is not chosen. So we need to associate this article, this document type with a template. So I'm going to go into the blog post document type, click on templates, and I'm going to choose the template that I created for it called blog post, and then save. Now what I still need to do is go into each of those articles and just save and publish them. If I do a save, let's just look at this. So I've not picked the template, but if I do a save and publish now and then refresh, it should, now that I've assigned a default template, it should pick it. No, it hasn't done. So I'll just pick that blog post, save and publish. So I'll do the same for the others. So pick the template, save and publish. So it's important to do that up front before you start creating the content items, otherwise you've got the problem of having to go into each one and save and publish them. So nearly there. And then finally the sixth one, beans 2. There we go. So now, close that, refresh that. So what we should find is it should look like the content template did. So it inherits from the master template, so we get all the structure of the navigation and what have you. And then it will, look at that. So what we've found here is that the navigation isn't working properly. It's pulling through all of the pages lower than the home page. It's not styled to show any sub-pages within a certain drop-down navigation or any of that. This menu is designed mainly just to be top level. So if I go to the static one, it's mainly just for that. It's not really designed with a drop-down. So and the way you get to the other pages on this site is just within each section. So what I'm going to do is make an alteration to the code so that it stops at that level, the level just under home. So if I go to the code which gets the navigation layout. Right, so get child navigation list. So get pages where visible, blah blah blah. So what I want to do is also, I just want to get it to stop at a certain level. So if I tell it on here, get page.children where visible and where this, right, so if I say and dot where x goes to x dot level is less than 1, oh no, is less than or equal to 2. Let's see if that works. I can't remember if that's the case. And get navigation model from database calls this get child navigation list, that's right. And then we've got this get object from cache. So I'm going to set that to 0 so it doesn't cache it. And just in case it has cached it previously, I'm going to edit the web config, which will force it to clear the cache. Right, so now I'll do a build, and then hopefully what we'll find is that the navigation just stops at a certain level. Now I may have my level number wrong, so I can always go back in and edit that. Here we go. Right, so it's sorted that out. So we kept this top level. So that means that I don't have to exclude every article from the navigation or anything like that. I can just stop it at the certain level that I wanted. So that's good then. So this is the blog post template. And then if I was to put some content in it, if I nick something from the about one, blog, add content, rich text editor, save and publish, go to properties, link to document, And there we go. So this is my blog post template. So this is just going to enable us now that I have this will enable us to do the list part of it. So automatically pull it through to show this list of articles that we have. So that's the first part done. So now we can concentrate on that. So what we need to do is, we've got a site layout controller. Hi Rooney2. So the static conversion, is it smooth? What do you mean by that, Rooney2? If you're watching on YouTube, just to let you know, this is recorded live on livecoding.tv. Right, so you just have to recode it or what? So let me show you them. If I go onto the blog template, at the moment it's just markup just on the page. So what I want to do here is I want it to, instead of it just being HTML on the page for that template, so the template I'm referring to is the one that this page uses. So instead of this just being static HTML, the whole point of using the content management system, I want it to actually render this based on what content I've got in the site. So what blog posts do I have? And how I do that is what I'm going to do next. So I need to get these put into a separate partial. And now I think I did that for the home page, and now it might be similar. So let's just have a look. Home blog. So it is similar in what I did in the home page. So yeah, it's not that complicated actually. If you're new to Umbraco and you wanted to get into using Umbraco, you can go back through the videos that I've already done in this series. This is part 8, and you'll be able to see. But anyway, so it uses MVC. So I've already done a blog, but within the home. So what I'm going to do is, please bear with me. I've got a call coming through. Have I got a call? No. Right, what I'm going to do is create a separate one. So I'm going to create a separate blog folder in the partials called blog. I'm going to have a separate blog controller. And I'm going to make that using system.web.mvc, using umbraco.web.mvc as well. So because I'm using umbraco.web.mvc, I can then give it the surface controller, which is what all our controllers inherit from when we're using Umbraco with MVC. So now that I've done that, if we look at what I did on the home controller, I did one for render blog. So this was just getting the preview of the first 3 blog posts. So I'm going to do one on this controller, and I'm going to call it, so it's not just blog. So this is render post list. There we go. I need a partial view folder. So I've already got one on the home one. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it up here. So this is me working with the routing. You don't normally have to do this. You can just have everything in the partials folder with Umbraco, but I like to have it in a separate folder after that. And so just to make sure that it knows where to find this partial, I just do this. So this is going to be in partials and then blog. Alright, so that's my partial view folder. It's going to find it in there. So render post list. So this means then I'm going to need a list of a certain model. So I'm going to just call this a blog preview model. Yeah, so I'm going to do a new class in the models. Just do a blog preview model .cs. And then on that, what are the things on the page that we need it to have? So it's going to have a title, so it's going to have a name, intro, a background image URL and a link. So it's going to be pretty similar to the other model that I did on my last video, the featured item. So instead of category, it's going to have image, it's going to have introduction text. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm just going to do introduction in here. Instead of category, I'm going to rename this on the constructor to be blog preview model. I'm going to change that there, make this lowercase I for introduction, and then use that in here. Right, so again it's going to have a name, introduction, an image, and also it's going to link through to the article, so that's got the link URL. So I might just take off the word model because it's within models anyway, and I want to keep to the same convention that I started on the other ones. So if I just take this now, it probably is a no-no. Maybe you should always do model. I usually do use model on the name of the class, but I didn't do on the others, so I just want to stick to one convention. So that's done that part. So what I want to say on this new post list, what was it called? So if I go to block controller, I called it, yeah, post list. So if I create a new partial on here and call it a post list, create a new view called post list as a partial view, and then do add. Then now I had a comment on one of my videos from, I think his name was Rolando, and he says, why do I use @inherits Umbraco view page and then the model inside that? So this would be a list of what was it again? This will be blog preview. I need to just make sure I've got me using, so using Fiona Whitfield art models. Anyway, so if I do blog preview model, is that not right? Wait, start again. All right, there we go. So yeah, I was asked, why am I using this Umbraco view page and then blog preview? Yeah, why do I do it that way rather than doing it this way, which is the MVC way, where you just do @model and then you do the class? Now the reason that I was doing it that way is because sometimes on my views I'm also accessing the page that it's related to. So when I'm using that Umbraco view page, I also get access to the page and other things like that, which is not proper MVC. It's sort of cheating. You shouldn't be really accessing properties other than what was sent through in the model. So I'm going to move away from doing it how I was doing it. I think he was right to point it out. So instead of using that @inherits, because all I am doing is feeding it a model, I'm going to just do it the MVC way and just do it like this. So I'm just going to do @model and then list blog preview. So thanks for pointing it out, Rolando, and you're right. So I'm just going to go on this way from now on. So that's setting up the partial to be used. Next thing what I want to do is get the markup that was on the blog page, and I'm going to take this markup and then I'm going to repeat through it and turn it into just a shorter piece of markup that is dynamic. So if I do post list here, so these should all be repeated. Have I got the right one? I think I got it from the wrong one. I want to get it from the blog template, not the blog partial view. So it needs to start here. So it's this set of markup here. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it in here. Right, so then what I'm going to say to it is loop through all the articles and render an article for each article that you find. And these are column MD4s, right. Is that the same thing? Did I just do the exact same? I didn't, did I? It just seems like I've not got enough, but maybe I have, so sorry about that. Right, save that. So now I just need to loop through this list. So this is my column D4. Sorry, I do have a call coming through. Do I? I think someone might be playing tricks to make, because they think it's funny in the other room who's watching, so sorry about that. Right, anyway. This part here is the blog inner. This, it looks like it's repeated on all of the posts. So I'm just looking for a matching pattern here. So where I find this matching pattern, I'm going to take it out and do it as a render. Yeah, so I think that is the matching pattern. So I'm going to cut that out. So that's my matching one. So it's the blog inner. I'm just going to do an at helper render blog preview. And I'm going to give it the blog preview model. Call it item. So in that I'm going to have the item.link URL, the item background image, image, that's it, image URL. The alt, I'm just going to leave blank for now. I might actually just use the item.name for that. Might be a no-no, but for now I'm just doing that. So then I'll need to reuse the link URL again. Do the item.name for the title. And then here, where it's got this paragraph of text, this will be item.intro, introduction. Then there's another link to it for the read more. And I've got the class for the read more there. Right, so that's everything that I need for that blog preview. So I can now, anywhere that there was that blog preview, I can just, it seems really odd the way this has been done. Seems like it's done one on top of the other. Quite strange actually. I wouldn't have done the markup that way. I'd have done a row of, well, I just wouldn't have done it one on top of the other. I'd be going across. I might change that myself actually. Anyway, so render blog preview, and then I'm just going to, I'll tell you what, yeah, I'm just going to change this. I'm going to actually have this wrapping the markup, so it's going to be really simple. I don't need to use rows, I just need one row to wrap it all. and I'm just going to loop through my articles. So for each blog preview in model, so for each article in the model, just call that render, and I'm just going to pass in the article for the model, and I'm just going to get rid of all this. So it's really simple now, so it's repeated markup, and it's just going to use the col MD4, so it'll be I'm working with the 12 column layout, so it'll be a 4, a 4, a 4, and then it'll go on to the next line 4, 4, 4, and so on. And I'll just need an @ sign in front of that render statement. So that's done that. I didn't really need to do a render blog preview now because it's just there. That's the content of it, could have just gone in there, but for now it's fine to be called like that. So then the other part of this, the last part that I need to do is hook up the controller to do it properly. So with the featured items, I'm just going to copy what I did on the featured one to get the model and just slightly tweak it to work with the blog post one. So if I go to the blog controller, paste in what I got from the other one, so what is it talking about here? So I just need to use, so using Fiona Whitfield art.models, that'll give me access to the model set. Instead of featured item, I'm just going to do blog preview. So copy and paste, and this will be the current document. Did that work? Replace all. Right, okay, 6 occurrences. I need to use other things as well. So this one was using collections, Umbraco web, and so on. Alright, I've already got link used. I've already got collections generic used as well. Oops. Right, so what else have I got to do to get this to work? Public action result, render post list. Alright, we've got a bit of a bug there. So that's fixed that, and that's also sorted out all my errors. Now, I'm not using archetype, right, so that's where there is a bit of a difference. So this isn't really the best one to use. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to current page, ancestors or self. I'm just going to say blog page, and then here I'm going to say blog as the document type alias that I want it to get for me. And then when it's creating the blog preview, I'm just going to say for each I publish content page in blog page.children.where visible. Can I do that? Can't remember if I can do that. I think I can. I might take that where visible off for now because I don't want to restrict myself on something that I've done an error with. I can add that where visible later because I'm not really using that yet. Anyway, so image ID equals page.getPropertyValue, and then the int and the image. Media item is looking for that image ID as a media item, get the URL. And then page ID, I've already got the page ID. Oh, this is the link to. So I don't need to do this, so I can actually just change this link URL to be page.url. Then the name, I can just do page.name. and the category I can do instead page.get property value string and change that to be introduction. Image URL I've got from there. Link URL, I might just take this off here and put it there because I'm using page dot here and here just to make it shorter really. I don't want to have extra code that I don't need, and then I can also do that for the media item URL as well. Get rid of that. So now that should go through, find me the blog, and then any of the children in the blog, it will then pull that through, and I've got my blog preview, each item there. I've got that model now is a list of blog previews. So I'll just do model. So if I call this action render post list, it will get the content and it will render it out to this partial, giving it the model. So fingers crossed that should work. So if I go to the blog page now, I can get rid of all of this just by delete, and then in here where it was I can just do a render action. So I can just copy this one, and instead of using title controls and site layout, I'm going to use the blog controller. I'm going to use render post list action. I'm going to delete that now. So it's simplified the markup on the page, on here and on the post list as well. It's taken all the duplication out. So fingers crossed. I mean, I don't think it'll work. It never works live first time anyway. Let's just refresh and see what errors I get. I'm expecting errors. If I don't get errors, I'll be amazed. Fingers crossed, come on. In theory it should all work. In my mind it works. Okay, we're not far off actually. So it pulled through the titles. So as you can see, new iPhone, Beans, new iPhone 1, Beans 1, etc. So that's really good. It's just not done the images or the description. So let's go into Umbraco and find out what I called them, because obviously I must have left it in how it was used on the other one but not changed the property aliases. So it's quite a simple one really to solve this is. So if I go to blog post, it's using article image and article intro. So I need to just change that in the code. So if I go to blog controller, so where it said image, I need to change it to be article image, camel cased. And then also where it says introduction, I just need it to do article intro. I think it was article intro. Yeah, article intro. Simple as that. Let's see. Fingers crossed it'll work. And the way you see these green words here, that's the alt text because I left the name in. That's what's shown up. Brilliant, it's worked. And the read more link. Now, does it go through to the article? Clicking on the link, yes, it's gone through to new iPhone 6 release 2. If I go back and click on Beans 1, that goes to Beans 1. So that's worked, that's really good. So that's shown you how to do that, and then if I show you how you can change the order of it, maybe at the moment it's just pulling them out as they come out in the tree. So we might want to do it differently. We might want to order it by last edited or things like that. What we can do is just if I yeah, if I change, I'll show you this. If I change the blog to, instead of using list view, to take off list view and then save, then go back here, refresh home, reload home, sorry. Now I open out blog, you see that. So what I can do is right click on blog and sort, and then I can put new iPhone 6 as I can put all of these together actually. Let me do that, 1, 2, 3, and then, yeah, save. So now the order that they'll come out is all of the iPhone ones at the top row, and then all of the other ones on the second row. There we go. So that's quite good with Umbraco, how it lets you sort. The other thing is I could also, when I'm getting my records, I could tell it to order them. So where it's got .children, I could say .order by, actually order by descending. So I want the last edited ones. So if I do X goes to X dot update date, that's it. Do a Control Shift B to do a rebuild. I'm going to have to go in a minute, and then go back to the front end, refresh that, so that will now order the latest updated article first. So instead of this custom order that I did, it'll actually just order it by the date within the system for the update date. So it has done. So I must have updated the number 1 first. So anyway, I hope that was helpful for you, showing you how you can quite easily create a blog section and blog posts, and how to pull them through onto the blog section as previews, and then you can click through and read the article there. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this and you enjoyed it, please click on like and subscribe to my channel. Anybody, please feel free to comment or put in requests or anything like that, and thanks again to Rolando for commenting before. I really enjoy doing these videos, and I hope you enjoy watching them. If you've got any tips or feedback for me, feel free to put it in the comments, and I'll take it on board for my next video. Alright, thanks for watching.